Good morning. Welcome to FX Bootcamp. And I remind you the purpose of FX Bootcamp is education. This is not an alert service. I'm not going to make you direct trade recommendations. What I will do is conduct some live fundamental and technical analysis. Thanks. I appreciate that. With good luck, we can put together a trade plan of 3. Bear in mind that trading heavy leverage is risky, so please do not trade hard-earned money until you have a track record of success using a broker's play account. Past performance does not predict future success. All right, guys, so I just sent Maud an email. I got some good news and I got some bad news for you. What do you want first? Do you want the good news or the bad news? Today I want to talk about today I want to talk about time of day and using time of day in your trade planning and some things. So the deal is that trading for a fund, it's just been established, and I've just actually opened up a different thing as well as my teaching obligation, as well as my personal trading. So unfortunately, this will be the last week I'm doing this webinar. But I will be here all week to finish it up. It's a sad face on that. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. Just because I just simply can't fit it in, guys. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, we got a little bit of Swiss central bank just running their trap about setting a target for the Euro Swiss at 1.2. That's 500 pips up from it. Yeah. So, yeah. That'll mix it up a little bit. The Swiss central bank setting a floor against the euro. So the good news is I'll be here all week to finish up what we need to finish up. That's the good news. Nev, it's guys, we're not even going to deal with this. I mean, what are we going to do with this stuff? I mean, right, blah blah blah, risk of deflation. Yeah. I mean, is it really news that a strong Swissy is actually detrimental to the economy? Not really. Yeah, guys. So I apologize for that. I've really enjoyed our time here together. It's just I'm not able to fit it in, so I apologize for that. But anyway, we'll make the best of our time moving forward. You know, if FX Street's willing to have me on sort of once a month or a couple times a month, that'd be awesome. But I just can't make it a daily thing, I'm afraid. Okay. Anyway, let's get busy. I don't really know what we want to concentrate on here. I mean, you know, what are we doing with this news? I had this long today. I just didn't have it long from here, sadly, on the Swissy. I'll be at boot camp, yes. I'll be at boot camp just in a slightly diminished role, but I'll be there, yes. I'll be there 3 hours a day doing my thing, but you know, what I was finding is that you know, my trading was my primary income. And, you know, then I was getting involved in a lot of coaching, and then a lot of mentoring, and then a lot of other peripheral stuff. And I was actually finding myself earning a lot less money. So I've had to sort of move my career back to being almost solely a trader and sort of token gesture on the coaching side. So anyway, that's where I'm at, you know. Right. Okay, so Martin, you're leading me into what I want to talk about today. Market's going ballistic, guys. What are we going to do here? All right, to set a peg, I mean, all you can do is wait at this point. Unfortunately, my little trade plan, look at this. It looks silly now in retrospect. My little trade plan was like this. On the Swissy today, I was looking to do something like this, sort of drop it down towards this like 78 level and then long it. Just didn't quite materialize like that. Okay, so So what I want to do is this. We'll do some Forex tests today if we have time. Okay, so I wanted to just talk about my approach to things for the pre-London into London time frame. All right? So let's talk about that. You see, the thing is that all of this stuff is actually coming up to nice short zones. You look at this euro. I'm not going to harp too much on the live stuff. I'd like to get through this conversation. And on the pound, right? Because I actually had this doing, I don't know if you saw my video today, I actually had this long from around 160.70, 160.80 or something. And then, trying to take that up to basically this 5 and the 62 area and then short it again. And that's where we are. So I think that we're going to sort of continue to march up there, and then we'll have to wait our turn. Well, the thing is, there's nothing to do, right? I mean, we can sit here and I can cheerlead whatever. I didn't make any money out of the Swissy move. But there's just nothing to do right now. I mean, what are we doing with this? There's nothing to do here, guys, right? 250 pips outside the 15-minute Bollinger Band. Ready. And there's no trade, so we're sitting. All right, there's nothing to do on this stuff. I absolutely believe that the zone here is a short on the euro, but you're talking major fundamental news. We're gonna have to see how this is gonna play out. So to me, this is a nice short zone that should take us, really down to 41.5 again. But I certainly don't have the gumption to short that. Yep, we actually had a long in place on that today. Yeah, it's a big move, isn't it? We're planning to get long at sort of 109.50 on that. Didn't quite get there, and looks silly in hindsight, obviously, given the move. Yeah, but don't get, this is the stuff that it's easy to get caught up in it, right? I mean, oh my goodness, look at it. But really, guys, come on now, right? So whatever. What you need to concentrate on is trying to capture, if there's 200 days a year, trading-wise, and, one of them looks like this, maybe we should concentrate on the other 199 and not the anomaly. So don't get too caught up in this stuff. Okay? Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so all good here. We'll just move on and do something constructive. All right? If a decent little trade comes together, I'll certainly highlight it for you. All right, so today I want to talk about just sort of briefly some things to look at that you can use in your own trading really on the immediate term to help you make a few pips a week. All right? So let's talk about that. All right, so I'm a firm believer in, and I touched on this a little bit last week, and I'm going to continue with it today. Minimum exchange rate. I mean, it's, what this is sort of verbal intervention. How successful do you think that's going to be? Just before we get going here, and you guys all know we're still in a downtrend. So, can you hear me? Okay, thanks. Sorry, I thought I lost my interweb there for a minute. Thanks. Did it, Pete? Yeah. This is still a downtrend. It just means, that we're jogging up a little bit, but there's still an epic short coming here. I still think we're going to do a little something like this and then go all the way back down to the bottom. You don't just reverse longer-term charts like this. Okay? It's simply, for something to reverse on a longer term, it has to go bearish and then a neutral phase and then bullish. Okay? Very, very, very seldom, almost never in my time trading have I seen anything do this. It almost never happens in a V-bottom deal like that. So, what's the trade plan? The trade plan is to wait for things to roll over again on the 4 hour through this sort of area. So yeah, it's pretty long here initially. We're probably doing a little bit of this action, down here off this 5, jog up there towards 90 cents, top out there, and make our way all the way back down another 1,000 pips. So, yeah, I wouldn't, Tobias, I think you can afford to wait. Don't get caught up in this nonsense. It's great if you're long. Don't try and fade fundamental news like that. It's sort of verbal intervention. Just let it be. All right? So anyway. And I've always given, in times like this, I've always given the, in times like this, I've always given this example, right? So, you guys know that I was a sniper in the army before Forex, right? Yeah, minor change in profession, I mean, I can see how they're closely related. So anyway, so we'd have sort of a situation like this, where you'd have your little observation post, say here. Okay, you have very good close correlation, right? So this would be, you'd be on your stomach here, a little man on his stomach, blah, 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 right? And another little guy here, okay? And when we're on mission, we could watch a certain amount of the road, right? So say that we had a road through here, okay, that we were watching, all right? And your weapon, right, the M24, could shoot about a maximum effective range of about 800 yards. So you could watch about this much of the road, okay? About that much, right? So anything in here was fair game, all right, in terms of what you could hit with your weapon, all right? Now, what happens if you see some enemy activity here or here? Then what do? You do nothing, right? You do nothing, okay? You can only, right, well you can, yes. You can only hit what's in here. Okay? Even though you can see enemy activity outside of your shooting range, you still cannot hit it. Okay? Alright, so my point is that if you've got a strategy that's designed to capture 50, 60 pips a day in Forex, why would you try and shoot this stuff here? And that's what's happening in the market right now. Well, you got another guy facing this way. That's not the right sign for that. You got another guy facing backwards. There's 3 people on the team. Okay? So, right. So my point here is this. Is that why would you want to try and fire and shoot the periphery here? So our alarm was along the euro today. But why are you even concerned about this? Okay, so this doesn't fall. Yeah, it's magnificent to look at, and that's 700 pips, and that's awesome and fantastic. But hey, it doesn't fall into our strategy. It doesn't fall into our shooting zone. So we're going to wait for stuff that does. All right, fair enough. And this is why, and guys, this was a major psychological epiphany for me. I know this is probably a lot of you like, this is a waste of conversation. Okay? But this was a major psychological epiphany for me. My biggest psychological mistake in Forex was the fear of missing out used to drive me to do stupid stuff. Right. I mean, that's really the single biggest issue is, oh my goodness, I'm missing out. Now let me do something stupid. Please, allow me to lose money. Okay? Instead of saying, oh, that didn't fall into my plan. Next. So what I'll tend to do is make literally 10 trade plans, maybe across 5 or 6 pairs for the course of the day. Alright? And if 3 of those come to fruition, great. And then hopefully 2 out of 3 are winners. I almost said losers. Or even 1 out of 3 is a winner. The other 2 are cut loss, quickly losers or something. Hey, that's profitable. Alright? Right? But just having that sort of epiphany that, okay, look, I can be a monumental underachiever and still be profitable. Hey, that's cool. That means I can borderline be useless and still make money. That fits right in with where I'm at. and I'm being facetious here a little bit, but that is for me, that was the major sort of psychological breakthrough. Was, oh, okay, hang on a minute. I don't have to be involved in it. I can understand every pip, but I don't have to be involved in it. And because I understand it doesn't mean to say I have to trade it. Okay? So just think about that. And guys, if you can make 40, 50 pips a day, you're gonna do fine. That will put food on the table, I guarantee it. And more. So if you're watching 5 pairs and they're going 100 pips, basically you're gonna make 10% of that. 10%. You can do it. You can do it. Alright? So, let's talk about some things here real quick. Okay, now, I'm a big sort of time of day person, meaning that I watch the clock more than most. Alright? And I touched on this last week, and I'm going to continue to do so now, and just sort of a reiteration of that. Okay, so the Forex market, like all others, is a collection of people, correct? I mean, that's all it is. Alright, now, this is important. This is important because if you're feeling anxiety about somebody else is feeling anxious about something. If you don't know necessarily where something is going, guess what? There's a bazillion people somewhere else in the world that have no idea where something's going. There's a lot of times where I'll log into boot camp and, it's probably 2 days a week where I'll log in and I'll be like, guys, no idea, dude. We could do this, we could do that, and then, what we'll do is we'll basically work out scenarios for if this, then that, or if this, then this. Okay? And that kind of thing, alright? Like Maple's sort of breakout strategy. Right, and then the other 3 days will be like, okay, this is what we're looking to do, and this is why we're looking to do it, etc. Alright, but what I'm trying to say is if you're looking at the Euro Swissy today, you're like, there's no ways, you're looking at Euro Yen, there's no ways I'm going to short at 108. Probably somebody else is thinking maybe 108 is not the best short in the world. Alright? So I want you guys to never underestimate just common sense and psychology. Alright? But I want to talk about a few patterns here. So how many of you trade from like midnight Eastern through, say, 5 a.m.? In other words, from around 5 a.m. London time through about 10:30 London a.m. I'd imagine a lot of you, right? The London morning, in other words. It's effectively a late Asia, early London deal. Yeah, it's me too. That's my deal. It's where I do 99% of my trading. And, if I haven't made my daily bread by like Thursday, Wednesday, I'll start looking at New York, trying to make it up. But, yeah, I mean, that's the typical time. So I'm going to concentrate on that for a minute, alright? And this logic, this whole buy low, sell high thing, can be applied to this. Alright, so, let's think about some stuff here a minute. Oh, it is. So, we've just effectively had a 4-day weekend here in the States, and I live on the West Coast, so it's 1:22 in the morning for me right now. So, it takes, I'm on now human time again, and it takes a minute to get back to non-human time. I mean, we just gotta wait for it. The Swissy, it's gotta come back about 150, 200 pips before we can buy it again. Yeah, it's just you do what you do, right? West Coast, I mean, this Forex thing is truly international. You want to, make yourself available and then do what it takes. That's the bottom line. It's like anything. Anyway, so let's talk about some stuff, right? I'm going to make this Asia open. Alright, and I'm going to make this sort of Alright, we'll go along. Alright. Okay, so the previous day, so I like to sort of compartmentalize things. Yep. Okay, and so now let's look at some stuff here. We got late New York. Well, we got New York, right? Let's say New York takes you up. Okay, I'm just going to break this down. And this, guys, you'll see a trade set up like this, probably 3 days a week, that can make you 50 pips. So let's say you capture 50 pips 3 days a week. That's 150 pips a week, 600 pips a month, just on this one peewee little strategy. All right, so this is New York proper. Okay, and now let's say that late New York, I'm talking from after lunchtime, effectively trades you back. Now this here is about 6 a.m. I'm sorry, check that. 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay, no idea what that is London time. Just, you're going to have to work with me on this. Alright, so this here we'll call that 6 p.m. East Coast. Right, Pete. My name's Moses. Okay, 11. Alright. Okay, so, right. So what do you think, London, what do you think Asian traders are doing here, right? So the previous day looks like this. Previous day traded something like this. Okay, and this was basically London, and this was sort of New York here, kicking in. So what do you think the Asia traders look at? Look at nothing else. I'm talking, this is how the basic previous day's direction went relative to today. This has got nothing to do with a 4-hour chart, a daily chart, nothing. If you're an Asia trader, what are you seeing here? I mean, yeah, basically you're looking at the previous day and you're like, New York bought us the whole day. So the financial capital of the world took us up. And those traders all kind of took profit on some things. And, okay, cool. So, now we basically at a 50% of this New York rise. So in other words, said differently, if you were walking into the market and going to put on your first trade in Tokyo, would you short there? Good place to short? No. It's not a good place to short. So, if you're not going to short it, there's a pretty good chance they're going to buy it? You reckon? Absolutely. Now, where could they think about shorting it? Maybe in the little fib zone of that drop. Possibly. Okay, or a break of the support level and a pullback. But you've got to assume that that's going to hold. Well, the thing is, James, is that this is how you can get misled on a 15-minute, because the 15-minute has to make lower lows and lower highs to trade it back to support in the context of like the previous day's rise. So yes, it will be in a downtrend. But it's going to be a buy because it's at support at a market open. Guys, it boils down to nothing more than psychology. It boils down to nothing more than a guy walking, or a girl, walking to their desk, a girl, Tobias, walking to their desk, sitting down, and saying, okay, which way is this going to go? Okay? And then going, oh, look, it's at support. and taking a shot on the buy side. Alright? So, if you got this sort of thing, right, they buy at Asia and you sort of cruise on up here, right? And then you got sort of a little break here. Okay? And this now becomes midnight Eastern. So this would be 5 a.m. London. Okay, this is when I take the mic at boot camp. Okay, 5 a.m. London time. Okay. Now, what is a guy like me looking at there? Okay, so Asia is taking this thing up for 6 hours. Ready? Just bear in mind that there's no fresh money coming into the market for another 3 hours. Yeah, you're going to be looking for a continuation long, providing what? Remember that whole Newton thing. An object in motion tends to stay in motion, blah, 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 blah. Right, so now I'm doing this. I'm saying, right, so I'm talking about this area specifically. Okay, so I'm asking myself a series of questions. Okay, first question. Right, what is Asia? And I'm approaching the market as if I'm looking at this 5 a.m. London. Okay, I'm like, which way is Asian direction going? That's my first question. Okay, second question. Okay, has it hit resistance? Okay, has it hit resistance? Or has it come down to support? Now, what would constitute support or resistance? A extreme pivot point, a longer-term Fibonacci level, a daily 5 EMA, whatever, okay, a major psychological level, a previous level of visual support and resistance. Yeah, it did. Came right off daily resistance. Fell like a stone. Yep. Okay, now, let's say that Asian direction was down and we had not hit support. What's the next thing I'm looking for, please? Asia direction was down and we hadn't really hit a target. What am I looking for? You're right, I am looking for a short, but be a little more specific. Right, I'm looking for resistance. Right, now I'm going in search of resistance, because that's where I want to short from. Like, oh, Asian direction's down, we haven't quite hit support. Right, now I'm like, oh, where's resistance? And say differently, if Asia was up, like this example, and I'm like, great, we got resistance up here because it's reversal pivot, it's a psychological level, it's a fib of the draft, etc., etc. So let's say the pound was sitting at 162 today to open London. Yeah. You think it's going to go up? No. Okay. So, let's say Asia took this thing up. Okay. And we have not hit resistance. So we've got like 40 pips here between us and resistance. Right. Now I'll go looking for support. So I'm like, awesome. If it hits support before it hits that target, I'm going to long it. Great. So now I go looking for support. Okay, now where is support? I don't know. It could be, it could be a previous visual level. It could be a hesitation. It could be a congestion zone, a little swing fib, a, daily central pivot, a number of different things. All right. Okay, now, the next question I'm saying to myself, I'm like, great, okay, cool, Asian direction was up, I know where support is, there's plenty of room to the next resistance zone, great. Now the next question is what? The next question is there enough quality in this trade for me to take it? Does the risk reward make sense? okay, well that's support. I'm going to have to give it about a 24 pip stop. I'm potentially going to make 60 pips. Alright, my time of day entry, I'd better get this before the London Open, otherwise that could get really weird. Yeah, okay, the quality's there, providing that this happens towards, towards sort of 6:30 a.m. London. Great. So that you're working out, the, how should I put this? The feasibility of it. Alright, I'm going to put you potential of the trade, for lack of a better word. Okay, now you can go trading, right? And now what? After this, you wait. You wait. And now it becomes a matter of, does the enemy enter into your sector or don't they? If they do, you knock it down. If they don't, step aside. Okay, you step aside. And it's that simple. So let me give you an example of this. Alright, let me just continue our little theme here. Okay, so anyway, before I raise all the stuff. So what I'm looking for, if you've gone Asia up, I'm looking for a little bit of support to long it up for that continuation. And guys, you'll probably find that this trade here sets up, this is about a 50 pip trade, and it sets up 3 days out of 5 across a few pairs, just trading a pre-London continuation of Asia. That's it. Okay, now let's say you go into London Open and you're at resistance. How many people do you think wanted long there? Just sitting down at the tip? No. So then this happens. You get London taking you down. Okay, I don't want to cover any further from there. But just the same logic applies on the downside and the upside, obviously. Once again, guys, thanks for the attendance. We got almost 170 people in here. I think that's pretty good. So thank you for supporting us. Okay, so, this is pretty common. So really the reason I'm bringing this up is, this trade here, really, that's available to you. That's available to you, like I said to you, 3-4 days out of 5 if you're smart. Honestly, I make quite a lot of money doing this. Nothing more than just this one little setup. And it's a time of day continuation play. That's all it is. Let me give you an example. Okay. Alright. So, I don't know if you saw my video today. Alright. But this is effectively the analysis, right? And then I'll sort of continue it here. What pairs, not much move in Asia? If there's been no Asian movement, then you basically got to wait for a little breakout at that point. And if it's with the prevailing trend, even better. Okay, so here's one that didn't quite set up for us. Nice one, David. Show us one that doesn't set up. Alright, so this here I'm going to put a vertical line by where my Asia Open is. Yeah. Okay. So in this case, generally speaking, James, but you'll find like the Aussie dollar, for instance, is active all day round because it's either being affected by the Asian traders actually physically trading the Aussie, or you got USD exposure there, which is fair game pretty much all day. So, you're gonna see something like the Aussie move all day. The yens are fair game all day long. The euro, the euro and stuff like the pound Swissy, you typically want to be trading during European trading hours, or the market. I don't really look at the euro or the pound that much typically during, say, Asia. I go trade Asian pairs. All right, and Asia is a bit of an enigma because Asia can be fantastic for a month, and then it's as if nobody trades Asia for 6 weeks. You know, and then it'll just all of a sudden be brilliant again. And by the time you're like, oh my goodness, Asia's on fire, let me start trading Asia, it goes off the boil again. So you got to keep an eye on it. You got to be like, oh look, 3 active days in a row, okay, Asia's hot. Let me go trade Asia. And then as soon as it dies off, it's like, move to the next fishing spot, dude. Because this one, yeah, you know, at some point you got to pick your poison. I think London's still overall a lot more consistent than the Asian session. Might see pips, but, you know, a lot of people love trading Asia. It's convenient for me because it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you know. I love pivots. I'll touch on pivots here in a bit, Andy. It's sort of a whole subject by itself. Let me finish up with my point here and I'll get to it. Okay, so, right, so if we're looking at something like this, overall, so we looked at this little animal today. We were like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, this was effectively, this red zone here is effectively my coaching session today, right there. Okay, so we looked at this animal and we said to ourselves, right, which way is Asia taking us down? All right, and we knew that there really isn't going to be any fresh money for another 3 hours. So originally when we saw this, we were like, okay, cool. Well, Asia's down, let's look for a short. Well, at that point, unfortunately, we were sort of all the way down here anyway. All right, and so we planned a short that looked like this. You know, back at this resistance zone, this wick low here, this range area, the swing fib of this drop, etc. We were like, okay, cool, we're going to take that down, and we're going to target, we'll target, I think we had 160.20 in mind, I want to say. I have my alarm down there. Okay, now this trade didn't work out, right? As it is, we sort of double bottomed and jogged up. But that is the type of trade that I look for. All right, so let me find you an example here. Okay, so this was the one. Okay, so here was an example of one the other day. Okay, we went right, Asia direction down. Right, look for resistance. Pre-London, short. And that time we got continuation all the way through. Well, the charts are lagging me by a mile. Okay, there we go. All right, so, you know, this was sort of Asia direction. And then this was sort of a pre-London into London continuation. All right? And a lot of it is just simply looking at that Asia direction, and then pound hasn't been fantastic for it, but let me try to find you a cleaner example here. You know, here's one. All right, Asia direction up. Let's wait for things to catch up to me. Asia direction up. Pre-London at support. Continuation. Okay, that doesn't go very far. My general rule of thumb is that if Asia is 60% of the trade, okay, the pre-London trade will be about 40% of it. And what I mean by that is, if Asia takes you up, 40 pips, okay, pre-London is probably going to take you up around 27 or 28 for the continuation. All right, does that make sense? So go ahead and look at this stuff. Now, the thing you got to remember though, you know, we had the same sort of thing on the euro today. Asia traded you short, so we were looking for something like this pre-London, which we effectively got, and then we were looking for a long in London off the support. You can see where our alarm was there. And Q hotcom. Go. There we go. Okay, and you'll see this a lot, guys. You know, Asia, pre-London, London. Okay? Yeah, now, something to be mentioned here is, I think it's actually, I characterize it more as sort of 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Unless I've got my times mixed up. 8, yeah, 4. Uh-huh. Okay, so there's a little bit of info here that probably needs to be shared, and that's, if you haven't got the pre-London continuation trade, if you're not all up in there by like 6:30 to 6:45 London time, it probably ain't going to happen, guys. Okay? You know, if you haven't been afforded an entry by then, it's not going to happen in all likelihood. I'm a little angry. I'm a little whatever. I'm a little miffed because I've been trying to get long the pound Swissy. I'm not lying, for weeks. For literally weeks, expecting like a 2,000 pip rise on that thing, and it looks like the bulk of it happened in about a 20-minute stretch. So that's a little bit annoying. It's a bit of a buzzkill to the operation. What are you going to do? Cry up a pancreas. So any questions about that? We've got 15 minutes, probably we can probably fire off some pivots in that time. Okay, so pivots. Right. Okay, so for starters, with the pivot deal, okay, is you've got to remember with pivots is how they were conceived. Have you guys seen that documentary called Flawed? It essentially discusses Chicago floor traders that how they phased out the pits and they went to electronic trading. It's called Flawed. It's available on Netflix. It's cool. I mean, it's cool enough. It's not a waste of an hour. All right. There's a lot of guys that have made a lot of money and turned to crack. But other than that, it's cool. Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is it sort of shows you the context in which these guys trade on a daily basis. Okay? And pivots came about to assist floor traders in just giving them a reference point. I just think Euro is at the bottom of the range. I really don't think the Euro rise was any more complicated than, hey guys, we were at support. You know? Yeah, and we got some news that happened to push it a little bit, but I mean, we're effectively opening the world's biggest forex market precisely at support. But yeah, I mean, the veracity of the move was pushed by news, but the actual initiation of it was initiated just by people buying at support, I think. But anyway, so pivots, right? So you got the guys in the pit literally pushing each other and shouting at each other and climbing on each other, right? So floor traders came up with this pivot point reference thing. Oh, it happens all the time. Happens all the time, Lee. Unfortunately, that's just trading, mate. I've had a stop jump before a couple of times. Yeah, it's not cool, but you know, it happens. Yeah. So anyway, all right, we got 10 minutes. I can teach you pivots in 10 minutes because I'm meant to be simple. All right. So they came up with this system, which was nothing more than a series of reference points. Okay. Now, why are pivots even respected today? Well, because floor traders of 20 years ago are now, 19, 20, 23-year-olds are now the hedge fund managers of the present day, and now they have also taught their people, it's like this lineage is handed down. Okay? So that's how pivots work. They're self-fulfilling prophecy, in other words. All right? Now, the basic pivot theory is above the central pivot, buy, and below it, sell. Okay? How easy is that? Above it, buy, below it, sell. All right? Unfortunately, it's not quite that easy, but pretty freaking close. I actually developed a Forex robot that does it. It's a little bit of a wild child. I got to tame her down. But it's profitable. Simply buying breaks of pivot points. Or selling them, right? But we'll call this our central pivot. Call that one reversal zone. Okay, now, this is the central pivot point. Okay, and guys, Rob is the frickin' pivot guru, by the way. So when you guys go to his webinar, definitely pick his brain. Pick his brain about pivots because he loves it. Okay, I think I've got one for you here. There we go. You can download this exact plotter I'm showing you right here. There you go. Okay. So, right, and then this is M1 to R2. Okay, M1 simply means midpoint between R1 and R2. Rob is on 4 a.m. Eastern. 4 a.m. GMT. I'm sorry, M4. Okay, and this would be M1 and S2. I have not, Jez. We're not going to get to today, I'm afraid. Okay, now, let's say, and obviously we're just going to, for the benefit of this conversation, we're simply going to ignore the prevailing trend in anything. Okay? But the theory here is, right, you break above the central pivot, you wait for a retest, you buy it, you take it up to the extremes. And when I say extreme pivots, I'm talking about between M4 and R2 or down to M1, S2. Okay? And, said differently, if you break down here, break the central retest of that, and you trade it down to S2. Okay? And the pivot ratios are as follows. M2 to M4, write these down if you need be, or M3 to M1. Now these all slide up and down. So this is the same as S1 to R1, or central pivot to R2, or central pivot to S2. Okay? So, alright. Right, so I base my daily pivots, I base my daily pivots on 8 a.m. Tokyo time. To me, that is the start of the Forex day. Now, there's many interpretations to this. Okay? That's the one that I've always used. Alright, now weekly pivots, it's different. Weekly pivots is simply the Monday open to the Friday close, or the Sunday evening open to the Friday close. That's on the basis to which they're calculated. Right, the central pivot is simply derived by the high, the low, the close divided by 3. Okay, yeah, I include the Sunday bar. Well, it's just a price action, yeah. I mean, it's just whatever price open that was. Okay, now daily pivots, this comes up for debate, right? A lot of people on a Monday that trade solely pivots don't trade because some people include the Sunday bar and some people don't. Okay, the way I do my Monday pivots is, yes, I actually happen to include that Sunday bar. Alright, so it's Friday plus Sunday equals Monday's pivots for me. Alright, and there'll be all sorts of debate about that. Alright, but Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, they're not good on Wednesdays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they should be 100% consistent. Okay, and I base mine on, like I said, on 8 a.m. Tokyo. Alright, so the cool thing here is that you can use these to determine extreme levels of support or resistance. So, in other words, if you open London in a reversal pivot zone, chances are you're going to trade that thing back to the central pivot. And if you open London or open New York at S2, chances are you're going to trade that thing back to the central pivot. Okay? Or if you open the market above your central, you're going to look for a retest for a buy. And if you open below it, you're going to look for a retest for a sell. Okay? And obviously I've really come down, massively, but, it's not coincidence to me that you open London at 105 and a weekly reversal pivot, and here we are. We're heading back to the central here. Then what do you think is going to happen? This is Aussie dollar. Right. So, like I said, we're going to run out of time today, but guys, there's a lot of info out there on pivot points and the calculations thereof. So I encourage you to look at them. High, low, close divided by 3. Yeah. And all right, so let me just show you this plotter real quick, and I do want to cover pivots more with you tomorrow and show you how to incorporate them more into your trading and actually physically use them to make money. All right. Now, this particular plotter, check it out. I didn't design it. It was designed by a boot camper. All right. And it's a little buggy. Okay, sometimes when you open it, like it'll have all these weird lines. Just change the time frame, right? So sometimes it'll be a little buggy. Just flick the time frame back and forth, and it'll sort of recalibrate itself. No, this is another guy. Okay. So if you open it, and you're like, what the hell is that? Just change time frames once and come back to it, and it'll correct itself. All right. Okay, so this is every plotter you could imagine all in one. All right, if you want an hourly pivot plot, if you want to plot the pivots to the previous hourly candle, you can do it here. If you want the previous 4-hour candle, you can do it here. All you got to do is change whatever you want to true and anything else to false. So I got this set to daily, so I want it on true. Okay, if you want weekly pivots, you can set it to false. If you want weekly pivots, rather, you set it to true and you set your dailies to false. Okay? So this plotter is everything. That link I just posted. Cool. Alright? And once again, I didn't design it. It is a little bit buggy, but it will do the job for you, no worries at all. Okay, and on the daily pivots, you don't even have to, there's not even any offsets. It's going to take your computer clock and then calibrate it relative to the Asia Open, and off you go. Yeah, I'll post it again. Bang. No worries. Okay, so it's cool. It'll do the job for you if you're interested in pivots. But you know, here's pivot theory. Here's pivot theory in a nutshell. You know, and these are just measly daily pivots, right? You know, above your central pivot, buy. Above your central pivot, buy. Okay, below it, yeah, sell, 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 sell. Oh, okay, above it, buy, etc. Right? Obviously, exchange times, and you can even tell here, even in the rangey times, look at how price bounced off that central and above it, and used it as support both times. I think it's the EX4, I'm not sure. If you're having issues with it, I'll send you the file directly. Just email me, david@fxbootcamp.com. Alright guys, I've run out of time. Sorry, Andy. No, I mean, you shouldn't be. Give me a shot tomorrow if you're still out of luck, please. You should get to by New York. Hope you picked up a little something today. Let me throw it out there. What would you guys like to focus on tomorrow? Do we want to do more Forex tester stuff, just kind of consolidate a little system, get that going, maybe look at some live charts, you know, actually try to put some things into practice? That would be nice. Yeah. So we'll do that tomorrow. Same time, same place. Please register up. Like I said to you, if you want any information about joining bootcamp, I got a 38% coupon. If you want to know about the fund or anything else, just give me a shout, okay? Yeah, we'll do more live stuff tomorrow. But just be careful in the market, yeah. She's a wild child. All right, guys, thanks for supporting it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Take care.